Hello out there, and today we have part 2 of my 2018 knife collection update video. And today's video is going to focus solely on the Benchmades. I know I said in the previous one that I would get all the rest of the collection into part 2, but it's just not going to happen. There's too many CRKTs, Bokers, other like odds and ends that I wanted to get into the video that one will have its own like third video. And I guess that'll make it a little bit easier to navigate for the viewer just because you'll be able to pick and choose what you watch depending on what your interests are. So hopefully that works out. But today, focus solely on the Benchmades, talking about all of those. A lot of these knives you've seen before, so I'm not going to go into any like heavy detail with a lot of these. Just some quick descriptions, make it as brief as possible. Also, though, if there is anything you are particularly interested in, anything you want to see again, let me know in the descriptions down below. I'll also be linking to my previous Benchmade collection video down below. Just because for me, the most fun of this is to see what's come and what is gone and how things have changed. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out down below as well. All right, but let's get right into it with what is sitting in front of you. A really special one. This is my Benchmade proper. You can see JT's Knife Life here on the blade as given to me by my buddy Konstantinos from Greece. Really cool guy. One of my best friends that I have developed since starting this channel. And an excellent gift, and this is one of those knives that no matter how many Benchmades I buy and sell, this one is always going to be near and dear to me, definitely, and is never going anywhere. So gets a lot of use, even though I don't have a lot of slip joint knives. This one is a backup for me. I carry it on just about every day off that I have from work. So there's that. All right, and then the next two I'm going to bring out are two knives that I just got back from Life Sharp. Literally just got back yesterday. So we have a Benchmade 707 sequel and a Benchmade North Fork. All right, and the sequel is just a really cool knife, McHenry & Williams 154 cm. This one you can see is pretty beat up in a lot of ways. I got it really cheap. I got it used, and I think I'm going to end up modding it in some way, shape, or form. I'm trying to find a new set of scales for it somewhere. So this is one of those long-term projects that probably will eventually get sold, but we'll see what ends up happening with it. And then the North Fork, really cool from the Hunt line. I like this knife a lot. Was really attracted to like the wooden handle scale ones they had. That diamond wood is what they called it at the time. But the G10 on this one is really impressive. And I said that in the review of this knife too. So it's a really cool knife. Good EDC, a little bit beefy. So there are those. And next we'll get into the Osbornes. So we have the 930 Colgera. Then we have the 940, and we have the 960. And the 930 and the 960 are two of my favorite knives in the collection, bar none. I mean, they are just knives that I really wanted for a long time and was able to get my hands on. I think the lines that Warren Osborne has in his knives are just incredible. Just the way the knives look. They just strike me visually. I don't know, they just make me happy. 960 especially is just one of the best looking knives that I think I'll ever own. This one is in D2 and is a pretty rare limited edition, you can see right there. The 940, as good as it is, and I have nothing bad to say about it, there's just a lot of other really good Osbornes too that just don't get as much credit. You know, the 943 is a beautiful knife, just a slightly different blade shape. And yeah, nobody ever really talks about that one, but that's an excellent knife as well. So this one is in 20 CV though. This is the KnifeWorks exclusive. And then the Colgera, the 930, blue and black G10, discontinued. Just a really interesting look and design, but it all works. You know, this one is in S30V. All right, so let's get the Osbornes out of the way. And we'll move on to another discontinued knife. This is the Nitrous Striker, I believe number 907, in Alishewitz design. I got this one from Minnesota Knife Guy. It is in D2. I polished it up a little bit just to try to get some of like the age hidden a little bit, but this is just a good user knife. Assisted opening. The assisted opening mechanism works fine. I'm just not particularly a big fan of the nitrous kind of action on it. So yeah, I mean it works, but it's not my favorite assisted opening knife, that's for sure. But really attractive look and design. Next, let's get into a few red class knives. So we have the Benchmade right here. We have the Mini Pika, and then we have the Ambush. So these are 3 red class knives. The only one I'm actually really trying to keep is this one right here, because it is just a really neat little knife, 440C, made in Taiwan. Yeah, I like this one a whole lot. It's a well-built knife, very simple, streamlined. But then the other 2 are just odds and ends, I think, just sort of interesting things that I came across. This one, the Ambush, is really, really different from how it originally comes. And that's because I got this used and it was really, really beat up. And so originally, I guess it had some serrations and the previous owner tried to take the serrations off. I sent this out to the Rev Hiker and he got the serrations off and made it really nice and sharp. And so while it certainly isn't a good looking knife anymore, it is definitely very functional. So cool little blade there. And then the Benchmade in AUS 8, another part of the red class. Cool little blade. I picked it up because I really wanted it. I'd wanted it for a long time, just thought it was a unique little thing. But honestly, it never gets any pocket time because it's not the kind of knife I'd want to carry. So yeah, that one I think is eventually going to be sold. But next, let's get into the 484-1. Every single time this knife is on camera, I talk about how good the 484 design is just as a whole. You know, if you're looking at this and you think that it's a great looking EDC, 1, you're right. But 2, there is the M390 version with black G10 available for almost $100 less than this. And I can't recommend that knife enough. I mean, carbon fiber S90V, sure, this is excellent. But if I had to do it all over again, and I might actually end up just getting that M390 version instead. Here is the Minifreak, a new for 2018 design. Review on this was pretty recent. Like this knife a whole lot. That hasn't changed one bit. This is probably what I'm going to carry today. First production, you can see right here. Really neat blade. Excellent smooth action. Wonderful in the hand. Great knife. Here's one of the most underrated Benchmades I think I'll ever have. And this is the 527 Mini Presidio. And I like this knife a whole lot. It is in 440C, and that sort of, for a lot of people, kills it when you think about Benchmades. It's not really the steel that you're going for. But just the way that this knife is built and how comfortable it is in the hand, it does compare very favorably to a mini grip. You know, and if they made this knife in a whole bunch of different steels and a whole bunch of different variations, I might have a mini Presidio collection instead of a mini grip collection. So, I mean, there is that. You know, the price difference, I think, at this point is negligible. So there's no real big savings, I think, if you're trying to pick this one up versus a mini grip now that this is discontinued. But still, that being said, it is an excellent knife that sort of gets overlooked a lot, I think. Next, we have my one fixed blade from Benchmade, and this is the Hidden Canyon Hunter. Here's the sheath. This one used to get a lot of use. I used to use it a lot more around the house. Now it really just gets used for like some yard work, and if I do go on like day hikes, if I'm outside, then I'll have this knife with me. But I've thought about getting other Benchmade fixed blades. But yeah, I just don't use fixed blades often enough to really make it make sense to do that. This knife though has that diamond wood, that like handle scale. It's really attractive, feels great in the hand, and Rogue Blade Works, who does the scales for the Bugout that I have and that you'll see in just a bit, they just came out with some new scales for the Hidden Canyon Hunter, and I thought about buying them, but then I get this in my hands, and man, I mean, I don't need better scales than this. So yeah, this wood composite is going to stick around, that's for sure. All right, and now we have one more knife, actually 2 more knives before we get to the mini Reptilians. So here's the Butch Ball 300 axis flipper. A lot of people, and I've said this before, but a lot of people had negative things to say about this knife when it came out. A lot of negative reviews just about the flipping action, how fat it is, how heavy it is, all that good stuff. But for me personally, I like this knife a lot. I like the feel of the G10. I like the way that it feels in hand. 154 cm, like that steel a lot too. And yeah, the action is just fine. So it's pretty darn smooth. Flips open really well. So yeah, really cool knife. And it was my engagement present to myself, so definitely has the sentimental aspect too. All right, we'll finish with the mini grip. So I guess the last thing that we have before those is this Bugout. Like I was just talking about Rogue Blade Works and their scales. You can find them on Instagram or Etsy. This is the carbon fiber that they do for the Bugout. I like it a lot. It made the Bugout a win in a lot of ways that it wasn't. And so while I did already like the Bugout with the scales that it had, I mean, this just takes it to the next level. I think it looks better. It definitely feels better in the hand. It still keeps it extremely light. So just an excellent knife and a great design. And hopefully we'll see a lot more in terms of the Bugout from Benchmade themselves with maybe some variations, a gold class, carbon fiber, limited edition, who knows. But that kind of stuff should be coming because this design overall is just a big win. All right, so now let's get to the mini Reptilians. All right, so you've seen a lot of these already before, and I'll just start with the 556s. And one thing you'll notice about all of these is that the edges are ridiculous. And that is because these are going to be part of the D2 experiment that I'm doing. Even though they're not all in D2, they're going to be serving as like a control. And so, yeah, I'm going to be using these throughout that process as well. And so that should be a lot of fun. These came from Jeff Jewell just recently, who put those edges on them. I'll link to his channel down below. Great stuff that he does with sharpening. So if you're interested in sharpening, check him out. But these 556 is what we have D2 up here, and we have 440C, and this is a safety blade, but it has been sharpened now, obviously. You can just see, man, how nice that edge is. And then here's my first Benchmade ever. This is in 154 cm in light blue. And just getting this knife back from Jeff, man, getting this knife back from Jeff and seeing like the quality of the edge on it, man, it almost got me emotional just because, you know, I have such an attachment to Benchmades as a whole, and this one being my first one, you know, having it look this good is just awesome. And then the last one is in CPM M4. So yeah, just very cool. And I'll be doing a video about all the knives that he sent me in just a bit as I work my way into doing that whole D2 test. So yeah, if you haven't noticed already, and if you haven't been following on the channel for a long time, all of my mini grips are in different steels. I'm trying to collect one in every steel that it's ever been made in. And so that's the goal. I'm not sure if it's ever actually going to happen. There's a few more that I have to hunt down. But like I said, those first four were D2, 440C, 154 cm, and M4. And then right here we have the 555-1. This one is in 20 CV. Nice hollow grind on this. The G10 on this knife is really cool. Looks great. The standoffs are attractive. And then here is the recent modification, the S30V, with these like toothy kind of designs, and then the clear scales. And for anyone who hasn't seen the videos in the past or had questions about it, the clear scales came on this knife here. The blade with the safety blade came on the clear scales. And that was one of those things that when I guess the mini grip was coming out and the axis lock was new, that Benchmade had these clear scales in a number of stores on display just so people could see how the mechanism worked. And so this was from years and years and years ago. And a few of the sets of scales are still floating around. And I was lucky to get my hands on one of them and turned it into a knife. And so yeah, here's what we have with the S30V. That's the blade that I've put on it now with this recent modification. And then here we have the Ritter grip in M390. This has carbon fiber handle scales with a purple G10. That was done by Death of All Things on Instagram. Really cool guy, excellent work. If you're looking for custom scales for a Reptilian or a 940, he is definitely the guy to go to. He does some really great stuff. So impressed with that. There were a couple other Ritters that I'd love to have, but man, those are just really expensive now with them being discontinued. And then last but not least, here we have the gold class. So the gold class S90V. So this is the only mini grip that I think I've ever seen in S90V, which is why it had to be part of the mini grip collection. This is number 63, and I think it was a run of 175. So pretty cool blade right here. Not one that I carry, but just part of the collection, and a really cool one to finish on. So again, one more time, we have the S90V, we have the M390, and then here is S30V and 20CV. All right, guys, so that's all the Benchmades, and while I am definitely trying to collect the mini grips, a lot of the other stuff might end up being up for grabs in the near future. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what the next collection update would bring, just with all those different changes that could come and go. All right, but any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, like I said, let me know down below. Definitely interested in hearing from you, and I will follow up with you with the rest of the collection very soon. Take care. Have a good one.